that has existed in the online realm for over 2 decades. He has participated in the inception of Let's Plays, but has hardly evolved alongside them. Where most creators benefit from their window of fame, Phil, through insane spending habits, has almost nothing to show for it. It was only in 2020 that he filed for Chapter 7 bankruptcy, where the documents revealed his situation being even more insane than previously thought, due to his off-putting nature in that he will belittle his audience members while simultaneously petitioning them for donations.
I need the money to pay bills, and I need the money to do regular day-to-day shit.
Lie about his finances and inaccurately portray criticisms against him, he has few allies left. Content creators, large, small, new, and old, avoid him due to this and the unique community of trolls that follow him. Varying widely in intentions and actions, these trolls share the commonality of hating Phil and archiving his fumbles to great lengths. There exists a spreadsheet that is updated almost daily that tracks nearly every donation, the top donator, when the stream began, and what game was played. That's not all. There are several search engines designed to search his over 70,000 videos that even have options to show the trend of word usage, and of course a forum with over 280,000 posts discussing him, not including side threads that would greatly inflate that number. While Phil is covered to great lengths, information is hardly ever centralized or easily consumed, prompting the creation of reasonably shorter videos dissecting different elements of his life. This video, perhaps unreasonably so, will attempt to tackle it all.
アメリカ太平洋岸の港湾都市サンフランシスコ。この地に日本チャンピオンが上陸した。
To the US population at large, November 8, 1998 was a normal day. For the 20-year-old Alex Valle, the American fighting game champion, it was anything but. For the first time ever, the fledgling American fighting game scene was going head-to-head with the somewhat matured Japanese scene that had more financial backing, production and the coverage, and tempering than the Americans. The Japanese champion, Valle's opposition, was the 16-year-old Daigo, who had flown out from Japan to make history. The game, Street Fighter III Alpha, was the medium. This could go any way, though the Japanese had the perceived advantage. That's why Valle's victory in the first match intensified the competition. As the match rules were best 2 out of 3, Valle had to win one more match to be crowned world champion, and so Valle continued his aggressive strategy and tried to put pressure on Daigo. Daigo, however, began adapting and started finding openings, anticipating Valle's attacks. Adaptation was never as important as it was here in the finals. Both sides were exposed to strategies they have never been exposed to within their local competitive scenes. With the advantage on Daigo's court, he won the second match. At this point, the outcome was hardly predictable, as both sides were solidifying their strategies. Daigo had won and become the world champion of the fighting game community, projecting Japan's strength and their competitors as fierce. It was historical moments such as these that emboldened new players to join the competitive environment that had only seen growth. Realistically, the only way one could compete is to join their local arcade scene, if they offered a competitive environment at all. While online play was non-existent, the internet did tend to the community by allowing a quick, cheap, accessible way to promote local or grand-scale events. One of these involved an 18-year-old Phil Burnell. Initially entering the online space with the alias Wo Moses, he adapted other, short-lived nicknames such as Phil Throw Like Hell Burnell, labeled as such for his strategy of using the throw move in Marvel vs. Capcom competitions that was viewed as unbalanced. Quote, "Everybody said that my victory was so quote-unquote cheap, and that I had no skill," unquote. Regardless, Phil was performing well in his local gaming scene in Bridgeport, Connecticut. The next natural step was to attend ECC, or East Coast Championships, that hosted various fighting game competitions. Add to that, he said he would attempt to go. Phil had experience attained through many years spent visiting his local arcades, an experience that would otherwise be described as a fruitless pastime. The elitist nature and other unfavorable qualities that Phil was showing were more acceptable in these communities than they would be in others. And he did have that one thing that made him memorable: his aggression. Quote, "I see it every day in my town. These little fucking wimps who call themselves quote-unquote thugs and pretend they're quote-unquote tough mofos. Well, if I ever get into a fight with one of them, hand to hand, I guarantee you I'll be the one standing afterwards. And if they pull a gun on me, I hope they have pretty good aim, because if they don't hit me with the first shot, I'll have already punctured the windpipe and ended their life." Unquote. This was in response to the general aggression Phil received when utilizing his infamous throw tactics. While Phil's response teeters from excessive to entirely unrealistic, it does expose the way he viewed himself as a macho, hardened, threatening individual. And that's why he chose his new name, Dark Side, which was directly influenced by the song Dark Side from the band Crazy Town. The reason for the Y in his name in place of the I is to avoid readers thinking that his name was anyway attached to the Star Wars universe, as that would be too nerdy. Phil provides other reasons for his demeanor, such as wanting to act as a heel in this developing space. A heel is someone, typically in wrestling, that is an inconsiderate or untrustworthy person, and due to their distasteful nature, the wrestling community actually enjoys matches with them, as getting trounced on is the ultimate satisfying outcome. And so Dark Side, as he was calling himself, was set on practicing and playing the newly released Marvel vs. Capcom 2. Though his palette was diverse, this is what his sights were set on. But there was an unforeseen issue. The game, released in February 2000, meant that it was untested and would not be at the East Coast Championship. Phil's solution was to make a tourney of his own, at Motel 6, with a $5 entry fee. The results are unknown. What is that Phil was ingraining himself in his local community, and that he just graduated high school as the valedictorian. A valedictorian is the highest-ranking student of a school's graduating class. The bestowment of such a title opened doors of opportunity. Ivy League colleges were in his purview, but he wasn't in theirs.
Yale rejected me, Harvard rejected me. There were 3 of them. I can't even remember what the third one was, but every Ivy League school that I applied to said, no. When you want to know why they rejected me, it's this simple. Because I'm a white male.
Where there is Phil Burnell, there are bound to be inconsistencies and lies. Here he states that it was because he was not racially diverse enough as a reason for not getting in, then later flips the excuse.
Just off of that premise, it wasn't my extracurriculars, it wasn't my academics, it was based off the fact that I wasn't a rich white person.
Another reason Phil provides for not getting in is that he signed up for financial aid, which he claims triggered an immediate rejection from the Ivy League schools. Whatever the case, his future had more potential than most. Throughout it all, he was still going to local tournaments. Here he recounts how the entrance for a local tournament doubled from 16 to 32 in just a year. He won this tournament, and with that, he is losing his potential. To make it big in this flourishing environment, practicing the game would have to encompass his life for nearly the next decade. And to finance the traveling, he took out various credit cards as his job selling yogurt did not provide enough income.
Well, you go to Evo 2K4, the fighting game championship.
700 players from all over the world, Japan, Europe, North America, South America, all over, right?
There's insane competition in the fighting game community, especially from Japan nowadays, and it's like a...
You know, who cares about the Flash? You can leave the Flash there. Make sure the gameplay is solid. No more stupid additions.
Those were moments from EVO 2004. EVO, or Evolution Championship Series, was becoming the end-all be-all for competitions in the fighting game community. Every year the event grew. It grew rife with competition, controversy, diversity, and of course, increased attendance of Darkside Phil.
East Coast versus West Coast.
No! Hell no!
In this particular moment at EVO 2002, the infamous Darkside Phil was selected as a sort of representative of the East Coast theater. Commentary from the people recording demonstrated how welcome he was.
Phil, you are not East Coast, please.
As much as Phil promoted his ability, when it came to EVO, the player base was at an entirely different level than he was used to. Losses here were common, and people did not take kindly to his hostility online, where he would physically threaten his opposition.
I was the guy who always talked shit. I was the guy who always was like, man, don't get in my face at a tournament. I will fuck you up. I will throw you in a trash can. I will, I used to do that.
But in person, that was a different story.
I mean, online he would freaking, run his flap and post a lot, respond to everything, but when you see him at the tournaments, he just sits there, he's not doing nothing.
That was Jaha, one of the more hot-headed players that was not afraid of confrontation.
He was talking a bunch of shit against like the top Marvel players, so Shady K was one of them, and Shady K didn't like him too much because he would like run his mouth so much. I mean, this guy would make posts that were like a mile long. When DSP was leaving with like him and a couple of his boys, that's when it was time to like roll up on him. We followed them outside and we caught him outside, and they were getting up in like, DSP's fucking friends' faces too, just to fucking make sure none of them got crazy, but they were all fucking shitting bricks. He just turns fucking white, and it's funny because he just like talks so much shit on the internet, but when you run into him in fucking person, he's just fucking, turns white as a ghost.
DSP was able to diffuse the situation by paying Shady K, Jaha's friend, $10. They arrived to that amount from a money match that was meant to go 10 rounds for a total of $100, but since it was cut short due to time limitations and DSP only fought and lost a single match, Jaha and his crew were able to swindle those $10 that DSP had no obligation to pay. But even then, it was cheaper than a trip to the hospital. As for the forums, or the medium DSP would unleash his threats, Shoryuken.com, or SRK for short, is named after a popular move in Street Fighter. DSP continued to expand his character, adding the tagline, "The King of Hate."
And the whole idea behind the King of Hate moniker was everyone hates me because I talk so much shit online, but no one can do anything about it because in person, I could hold up my end of the shit talking and win.
I understand you got something you want to say about the DSP.
Nah, I don't got nothing to say about that little retard. Down syndrome Phil. Fuck that guy.
Oh yeah?
Now, in 2003, Phil's infamy grew to new heights after he was banned from the SRK forums. Even the smaller competitions he did win would not be received with commemoration, but ire. In addition to the displeasures at his victory was what appears to be Phil advertising his website known as TopHaters.com. Further investigation reveals that this website of Phil's creation was a response to TopPlayers.com, a West Coast-centered Street Fighter website. Looking further into it, this is not just a response to Top Players, but Phil's lashing out at his infamy. There is much to unpack through the multiple pages of this website. On this page alone, he challenges some of the fighting game culture he himself is guilty of. On the main page, he informs readers that he works at Circuit City. On this thread, he is hating on the mechanics of Guilty Gear, a different fighting game. His words and his culture do not resonate within the fighting game community. Even so, he petitioned for financial support, supposedly to run the website, while also complaining about the lack of users. Despite a clear lack of support, Phil went onward with a new project known as Impact. As TopHaters.com was Phil's answers to TopPlayers.com, Impact was Phil's answer to EVO. And even though Phil continued to attend, he sought to make his own large-scale event. Quote, "It's obvious that Impact is going to compete heavily with EVO," unquote. On the threads created by Phil to promote Impact that included fundraising, brainstorming ideas, and other items meant to trigger discussion, on average would have at most a single other response. That was also the only respondent to the majority of Phil's posts. Even threads discussing how much Phil sucked garnered more attention on his website than Impact. TopHaters.com was a failed project. DSP now espoused to this negativity will not use his character to his benefit. Instead, he used it to attack beloved franchises like Counter-Strike and Warcraft 3. Even then, that was only a distraction from his assaults at fighting game culture. Here, he lambasted what was known in the fighting game community as combo videos. In the early days of the fighting game community, CDs were exchanged in person. These carried videos of various combos or tactics one could utilize, yet the existence of them were also controversial as groups could gatekeep the data. Now, with the internet in play and data shared at a faster pace, tactics and their discovery were virtually immediately adapted and the meta was becoming solidified. Even still, the combo video situation is more complex than just defining metas, as DSP points out. Quote, "In some cases, the combo videos are single character only or console only," unquote. The last bit is of utter importance. Now mid-2004, arcades have long been losing their purpose to the increasingly popular home video game console, and a switch of competitions prioritizing consoles could increase accessibility for players and allow for significantly cheaper and easier to manage components as consoles and their elements could be set up and altered with ease. This transition was controversial only for those brought up in arcade culture and those in competitive gaming communities. When a game, like Street Fighter for example, is ported from the superior hardware of an arcade cabinet to the limited or vastly different video game console, color, resolution, and most importantly mechanics could differ based on the port. And though the technology and quality control had improved, it was still not good enough. It was a jump that would eventually have to be made, but perhaps it was too soon.
Evolution console? It's my worst nightmare, dude. I'm an arcade player. I hear you. You know what I'm saying? I mean, if this is the future, we're gonna have to, it's evolving, so we're gonna have to adapt. Personally, I don't like it, but, you know, no choice.
That was Alex Valle at EVO 2004.
The trials you have endured are proof that the light shines bright within your hearts. One final test remains, and it is the most daunting of all. It will force you to peer into the very core of what you are, of what you believe yourself to be. Many worthy Draenei have undergone this trial, only to return broken, or worse. Should you feel the slightest doubt, turn back now. It will be counted as wisdom, not cowardice. But if you are truly ready, step forward and embrace your fate. Tepartos, we have discussed this. Each initiate must be accompanied by a second. Where is yours?
Tepartos needs no one to aid him.
The last initiate who attempted the trial alone came back in pieces. Choose a second or head back to the barracks.
So be it. Tepartos shall bring this puny one.
An unorthodox choice, but technically within the rules. I have never known our champion to back down from a challenge. Let the trial begin. Light be with you both.
Tepartos!
Sharing what was the popular opinion among the top fighting game players. And to the displeasure of many, their worst nightmare would manifest in ways they could hardly predict.
You should know something. Tepartos did not choose you because of your brilliance. Tepartos saw your heart on the field of battle.
EVO 2005 would live in infamy for its decision to use the PlayStation port of Street Fighter II Turbo and the outcome of the matches. Both would receive protest in one way or another.
In 2005, I think it was, the three of you were absent from ST Top 8. What happened that year?
When you play Bison and you hit a fierce flame and it only goes like 20% of the screen, you got a problem with the game. And you got some idiot named DSP who's a total piece of shit, by the way. I like to get that on YouTube. But this guy thought he was hot shit because he beat me and Choi in a game that was like, it's like fucking Neo Geo conversion of Street Fighter or some crap, dude.
First of all, I have to bring this up. Alex Valle did not enter this tournament. He claimed he was busy and he couldn't show up. Bullshit. He was like, oh, I'm protesting EVO because they're not holding Arcade Super Turbo. I don't want to enter or whatever, right? Yet he was still there, but he didn't enter. He did not enter the tournament. I'm going to name some names now, people who I played and beat that day in the Super Turbo for the PS1 that you might be like, what the fuck? Jason Wilson, Mike Watson. Pretty sure I played John Choi and I beat him too.
DSP at EVO 2005 surged in the ranks for Street Fighter II Turbo, a feat that was achieved through a superior knowledge of the game.
During that period of time, I learned some major differences about the game, including the fact that some characters were different sizes. They weren't as tall or as short as they were supposed to be, and they had different hitboxes. I found out certain characters did different stun amounts than they did in Arcade Super Turbo. I found out that one of my characters, Vega, was incredibly easy to do these complex combos with, which actually was harder to do in the arcade version of the game.
The beauty of Phil's achievement, and now beating all of his American opponents in EVO 2005, is that he touts his knowledge as a fair advantage. But when he goes up against the Japanese players who also dedicated themselves to the port without protest, he changes his tone.
So now I was in the position, boom, if I win like 1 to 2 more matches, I could win the whole event. And then my final match in the tournament was against Tokido, who picked a mirror. We did a mirror match of Vega, and he knew a few things about Vega that I didn't about the mirror match, and just because he knew those few things, he got the jump on me, and I remember distinctly making 1 to 2 major blunders that people were like, why did he do that? I don't know. You know, I was on the stage, I was playing in front of 1,000 or 2 people, and I was, you know, I fucked up, I admit. He beat me, and so what ended up happening, I got 4th place. The top 3 places were all Japanese players.
DSP had ranked 4 at EVO 2005 for Street Fighter II Turbo, and used these statistics to state that he was the top American player. The more he would promote this, the more he'll be scrutinized for the details around his victory. What's more, the details about his life outside of the fighting game community were less savory.
I had to leave that other job, and as I told you, to go to EVO 2005, I had racked up my credit card bills like sky high. I owed a ton of credit card debt.
With more debt accrued, Phil moved back in with his parents and was working a job at Best Buy. Here, he was living off the high of his new title. Perhaps unrecognized and unvaluable to the population at large, that was not the case for his local competitive environment that were in awe of Phil's achievement.
One day, my friend Tony, who mostly we were known for playing Marvel vs. Capcom 2 and Capcom vs. SNK 2 together, said, hey, I got a couple buddies who actually like Super Turbo, and obviously that's the game you're really good at. You want to go play with them? And this is the first time I ever met John Rambo. So this is probably between like 2005, 2006, I would guess. When I first met him, I felt like it was almost like a deer in headlights moment, like, oh my god, this is a guy who just came back from EVO and placed.
John Rambo, coincidentally sharing the name of the action movie character, was becoming DSP's best friend. They shared an expansive list of friends as DSP continued to be revered in his local competitive environment. He was even allowed back on SRK and was helping run regional competitions. As now patterned, his investments into the fighting game community continued to hurt his finances. He was even fired from his job at Best Buy for using an employee discount to purchase equipment that would be used at East Coast Championships 2006. Now on unemployment, DSP's financial decisions became ever more reckless.
For 2006 and 2007, I started traveling the country, playing in all what was considered qualifying tournaments for EVO, which was the big national finale. Think like there's qualifying games in any sport, and then there's the big finals, right? As I started attending all these qualifier tournaments, I was winning them.
This is true, and this is footage of his victory at EVO East 2006. As neat as these victories were, traveling across the country when he already secured a high position in EVO meant that he was effectively wasting his money, as having more than one seat was pointless.
Wow, Phil is now seeded to be in the finals at EVO like 7 times. We need to actually take people who we beat and put them into the spots, because we can't have a whole bracket that's just Phil playing.
These victories inflated his ego beyond measure and created an even more aggressive Phil.
First of all, you are fucking hypocrite. You have no problem. You have no problem talking about my shit.
I'm gonna whoop your fucking ass.
Oh, really? You gonna whoop my fucking ass? Oh, I want to see that shit.
DSP continued to seek out a physical altercation, and in most cases, it led to nothing. Other times, he miscalculated and threatened someone who could reciprocate threats, reinforced by real experience. Viscount, a veteran of the fighting game community, was lambasted by DSP. Quote, so first Phil was like, okay, well you have to sign some document, because if I kill you, I don't want to be responsible. And I was like, whatever. Then, there was an actual serious negotiation over who the ref was going to be. And I think we settled on Walter from Connecticut, but I don't remember this part either. Then, there was an honest-to-God negotiation over weight, and that we were going to have to weigh in and everything. Again, I'm not making any of this up. As dumb as this sounds, this absolutely happened. So one day Phil IMs me on AIM and tries to back out. He was like, hey, so how about this? How about we pretend like we're going to fight, and then when a whole crowd is around us, we both do DX crotch chops to the crowd. It'll be such a goof. This really happened, and I'm just like, are you fucking kidding me? I honestly couldn't believe he was pulling this, and I was still mad about the whole thing and actually wanted to fight him. From that point on, there never really was any problem between him and I, unquote. When it came to real fights, backing out was typical of Phil. But when it came to Street Fighter, he was more confident than he'd ever been.
Alright, we got the man of all hate, the one and only DSP. I call him Phil, because Phil's cool. Anyhow, Phil, how you feel about ST?
I mean, for years these same guys are on top, and yes, I'm talking about John Choi, I'm talking about Alex Valle, playing ST, placing, okay, they're good, but to disrespect the people that got top 8 at Evolution, to make excuses, because it's on console, it's ridiculous.
There you go. You heard it from DSP. Straight from DSP. DSP, thank you. Check out the shirt.
Hate this, bitch.
Hate that.
Could Phil really back up these claims? Or on the other side, could Valle beat Phil?
Alex Valle, this guy right here, living legend, Street Fighter scene. First and foremost, you know what I gotta ask you? The ST beef with DSP.
I don't even consider it a beef. It's like another scrub, another day.
As chance would have it, they actually did compete at EVO 2006.
First match finally. Oh, on stage, Phil versus Alex Valle. I'm like, oh great. It was a decent match, I lost. And I was like, motherfucker, you know, all this practice, I waited all day, basically mindfucked me waiting all day to play my match. I finally play Alex Valle and I lose.
Phil, now in the loser's bracket, still had a chance to redeem himself. And after working his way through the loser's bracket, he had his final match of the day.
My final match is against, guess who? Tokido. Now this is the guy who beat me in 2005 on stage mirror match with Vega.
The results of Tokido and DSP's first 2 matches played out exactly like they did in EVO 2005. Both players won a single match, and it came down to the last match where the results were also mirrored.
And he won. He knocked me down, and I fucking lost. And I was like, I wanted to rip my fucking shirt off like Hulk Hogan and be like, fuck this shit.
DSP did not even place in the top 8. He was now the former top American player, but if anything, he was still persistent. In 2007, he went at it again, also winning EVO East. Even though, with his victory, DSP qualified to be seated higher at EVO, he still attended EVO West, which was held at Comic-Con.
Come back. Opening down for Japan. David Sterling, 1 match. DSP, 1 match.
There was an EVO West in San Diego, and fucking DSP was fucking talking shit about Mike Watson, and that's my road dog. When we fucking ran him down in EVO West, you know, we didn't even fucking wait to get outside. Watson just fucking went up to him in the arcade hall and just told him, dude, why the fuck you talking shit, this and that, blah blah blah. And he just didn't even want to face us. Like, he just kept on like cowering away and looking away and just being fucking quiet, this and that, and just fucking scared shitless. And we're fucking following him around, dude, like, what the fuck's your problem? And you know, Watson is a forgiving guy, so he just fucking pretty much got to the point where he made him apologize.
I said, you gotta do what you gotta do. If you feel like if you're gonna make you feel better to hit me, then go ahead. I guess I deserved it. And he's like, well, I don't understand then. Why did you say those things? And I was like, dude, I'm an alcoholic. I admitted it to him right there. I was like, I'm an alcoholic. I drink too much all the time, and I just can't control myself when I do it. And you know, at that point, I actually started crying because I felt so bad about everything that I had done and how stupid I was as a person.
Rumor of what took place at this event would spread within the fighting game community.
Do you guys remember the whole thing with DSP and like with the West Coast people, where they almost like he was like really scared because he was about to get beat up? I heard he was like crying and everything, so that was pretty funny.
DSP had fulfilled his role as a heel by losing to players who were far more popular than he was. He again, for Evil Actual, did not even place in the top 8. Even if he won such events, the prize money would do little to counter the credit card debt that he had accrued. His new job was not doing much to help him either.
Then I ended up finally getting a job after the Best Buy debacle at a place called Helicopter Support Incorporated. This was also in Bridgeport, Connecticut. Actually, I take that back. I think Helicopter Support was just over the Trumbull line.
This is a strange leap from working at Best Buy to working as medium in helicopter parts selection. His degree that he had recently gotten was supposedly in business. So DSP's work experience, nor his educational background, was related to his current position. The only thing that was his father, who had been working at the company, and it is understood that DSP secured his position due to nepotism. There was an additional development that DSP would long cling to. He was now starting a perilous path, ones that machinations would be far more complex than he could ever predict or even understand. Yet he stood directly in the center to witness it all.
So basically, I was very nervous. We went to this Chinese restaurant, and I swear to you, the first fortune that I got, well, my fortune that I got that day said, financial hardship in your life is coming to an end. By the way, when I do record gameplay, I use a digital camera.
Don't worry, you're not going to edit this video? You're just going to post them as is with the 10-minute mark?
Why would I edit? It took 2 days, actually, off of work just to play Batman Arkham Asylum. Because I knew it was going to be great, and you know what? I don't regret it at all. Even though
I'm the fucking Batman! Oh!
The Dark Side Phil YouTube channel was created on March 3rd, 2007, but was not utilized until 2008. Phil began by recording some of the fighting game events he would enter. The earliest available video is Midwest Moment 4 Day 1 Setup. The next one is Moment 7, then 13, then 19. Though all these videos range from 13 seconds to 2 minutes and 16 seconds, the jumping of the numerical order means that several videos were deleted and various pre-existing videos are lost. This was not the only event he recorded in 2008, and alongside those videos, DSP began recording gameplay of various genres. The quality as such reflected the best his equipment would allow, as he positioned his camera initially on the floor and pointed it towards his television. DSP recorded Star Wars The Force Unleashed,
at least I got all this fucking high-definition ear detail.
Castle Crashers,
It's a bunch of fucking horseshit, to be honest.
and Mercenaries 2.
Another Grand Theft Auto 4 rip-off mission.
While the genres varied, the style of recording, the commentary, and the titling, in that he proclaimed the game sucked, provided some theming in a space that lacked cohesion. YouTube, as it was looked at as a video repository, a place to consume viral videos. Series and the like were virtually non-existent. There was no meta for videos, and not much of a reason to make them, considering that a paycheck through content creation was unheard of. In such an uncompetitive and themeless space, Phil's videos excelled. He quickly found out that his gameplay videos did better than his recordings of fighting game events. Then found out that if he recorded proper sequences of walkthroughs of missions and games, the chain of videos garnered even more views, as was demonstrated by his gameplay of Saints Row 2. These were uploaded out of sequence, as Phil relied on a unique method of recording. Instead of recording the entirety of his gameplay in one go that would create a single video file to chop into several parts, Phil subverted the need to edit his videos down below the required 10-minute mark that YouTube had by physically stopping the recording on his camera every couple minutes.
Oh my god, this is bullshit. Okay, Saints Row 2, trying to kill the general again.
This naturally created individual files that not only saved him time on the editing process, but the rendering as well. From here, he could upload the files directly. The only additional effort applied left was to name the videos. Though Phil, in late 2008, did commit himself to recording entire playthroughs of games full with his commentary, the sequence was still scrambled and parts were uploaded out of order. But by the time he began his Fallout 3 series, now adopting his role of what would be known as a Let's Player, he was finally correcting these errors and uploading a sequence. Then the issue was not the sequence, but how much he was uploading. If he did a 4-hour recording session, that amounted to 25 videos, and those 25 videos were uploaded from November 28th to November 29th. That was 25 uploads in just 2 days. Phil, with some fluctuation, was spamming his uploads. By December 19th, even with his job in mind, he was up to part 137 of the Fallout Let's Play series. That was only a fraction of his 749 videos. This means Phil, at 1,400 subscribers, averaged around 2 subscribers per video. The comments were quite vocal with their exhaustion of the spam. Quote, "Stop spamming videos, they are not that good." Unquote. Some comments seem to just target Phil as a person. Quote, "Fucking you! You are a stupid man. Suck my lick." Unquote. Phil's commentary was colorful and could prompt these responses.
Oh, look. Blah, blah, blah. You cannot speak any English, you stupid. Blah, blah, blah. Okay, time for a save.
Viewers were not sure if DSP's crudeness was him playing a character, though the Street Fighter community knew it wasn't.
DSP, stop recording. No one gives a shit. Play. You can't hold up a tournament. Where am I playing? You still haven't told me. Jesus Christ, man. Want me to run the fucking tournament for you?
Taking form now in early 2009 was the basis of DSP. All the core elements were finally present, including the audience. From those few who were vocal about their dislike of DSP, DSP responded by comparing himself to Satan, and those who enjoyed his videos enough to donate to him. As seen in his description, he was now accepting PayPal donations for what he claims were games and equipment. Even now, in the channel comments, people were suggesting the use of direct capture via what is known as a capture card, and DSP did indeed spend that money, a lot of it too, on a more expensive, yet worse option.
As you know, any donations that you send help me in the cost of games and equipment, especially this brand new HD camera. It cost me a pretty hefty sum, so.
As these suggestions to how he could improve his videos poured in, Phil would go on and pour them out.
This guy just wants to be my friend so he gets deleted. Why don't you use capture card instead of camera? I've already explained this 7,000 fucking times. It's because then I'd have to actually use a professional microphone, I'd have to record the voiceovers, I'd have to actually do video editing on every fucking video that I put up. Considering I put up like 30 a fucking day, unless you want to fucking stay home and do that while I'm at work, I don't think that's gonna happen. So shut your fucking face.
That, as would be understood, was DSP's long-winded way of saying it was because he did not want to put forth the effort to learn the technology, making it seem over-complex to an audience that knew very little about video creation. From here on, he would label his videos as HD, inherent from the camera and not the game as people would be actually searching for. It is difficult to say how much DSP was making from these donations, but he was earning something and realized he could be making even more. Not from gameplay, as YouTube was afraid to monetize such content in fear that the copyright strikes from the game companies would doom the platform, but from vlogs, as YouTube recognized it was all original footage. This new channel, once more promoting his new camera's abilities, going as the King of Hate HD, shined a light on DSP's previously private life. There were videos of him making custom controllers with John Rambo and friends, sometimes videos of DSP and friends at a cookout, and sometimes the different competitions he would attend and not perform well in. It was clear that DSP had a vibrant social life. DSP was attending midnight releases, freely interacting with strangers, and now, because his vlogging channel was successfully accepted into the YouTube Partner Program, where he pressed what he assumed to be the advantage.
Hello, what's going on? My name is Phil Burnell, more commonly known as Darkside Phil, or DSP for short on the internet, and in 2010 my channel actually ended up being in the top 30 most viewed comedians of all time on YouTube. And actually had over 100 million total channel views. At this point I started getting noticed by different companies such as Machinima and other people contacting me, and at that point I really wasn't too interested in doing anything with it. I wasn't really sure that it would ever translate into anything serious for me or any kind of a monetary gain for me.
Combined with the money from his traditional job, he moved out of his parents' house into his own condo that he purchased for $131,000, leaving him to be a host for such events such as a pizza/gameplay party.
Yeah. What better to eat right before a Ninja Turtles playthrough than a delicious, ginormous pizza? So why don't you stop playing Street Fighter 4 and come get pizza so we can play Turtles? John Rambo here, devouring his final slice.
Hell bugger, you fuckers.
As controversial as Phil had become in the real world, and was well on the way in the online space, he was leading a fuller life. He was even experimenting with edited videos, like his multi-part Game Awards series.
It's DSP's Game of the Year Awards 2009 Top 10 Best Games of the Year.
Not everything operated well in DSP's life. He was still heavily drinking even during Let's Plays.
Follow me, Red. Don't attack those fucking rad scorpions, just follow me.
Can you make the snakes go away?
What? Red has died. She didn't even get fucking hit. Now she's dead. What the fuck?
As was normal, DSP fumbled through gameplay, regularly blaming the game for its shortcomings. Alcohol only amplified this.
We may not look it, but every one of us is a trained... They both come in here.
This is not real. This cannot be the truth about us.
Hey!
Get out of here! What the fuck are you doing?
A viewer may have missed it as Phil did through his rapid selection of the dialogue for the sake of progression. Phil unwittingly chose the option to threaten the NPC.
Why the fuck are they attacking me? I don't get it. Why are they attacking me? I didn't want to kill them. Why did they attack me?
There was a grotesque nature to Phil's Let's Plays and a rage that would turn physical.
My Xbox locked up. Fucking cunt. Fuck, they're doing it.
Damning fucking roundhouse.
Ah,
Shit fucking...
fucking doesn't kidding me. Fuck this stupid fucking mission. I'm fucking cooking fucking balls.
A part of a successful creator is willingness to experiment, adapt, and improve. DSP had those elements, except he was so set in his immediate success, he disregarded improvement to increase what worked in excess. By early 2010, his Let's Plays and number of total videos soared. In just a little over a year, he had nearly 7,000 uploads on his main channel, with his total views at a gargantuan 70 million. That means he was averaging 10,000 views a video. And not in the least humble about these statistics. Quote, I've been called fat, ignorant, stupid, scrub, loud, obnoxious, disrespectful, belligerent, inciting troll, asshole, worthless. But I've also been called entertaining by 70 million people. You be the judge. I'll be banned by the time you read this. Unquote. This could be found on SRK, and if even possible, further soured Phil's image in the rest of the Street Fighter community.
Look at him now.
It is time for us to return to Stormwind.
20,000 idiots are subscribed to him. That's great. Congratulations. Congratulations with your YouTube channel, and hope you enjoy your life, bro. I mean, it's a great victory. PlayStation 1 Super Turbo Champion. You take that to your grave, bro. Good luck.
DSP was making enemies that he had never met. In 2009, he had a small run-in with Rockstar and Take-Two that took down 2 of his videos, as was commonplace, as all of Phil's videos ran the risk of scrutiny by these companies.
However, Take-Two took it upon themselves to actually put a cease and desist order against YouTube, stating that they were not allowed to put up any of my gameplay footage, in particular because I had the cutscenes of the game in my footage.
And then, in 2010, what appeared to be Ubisoft also struck Phil's channel to a severe degree. By April, the strikes continued at such a pace that his main channel, Darkside Phil, was taken down. After sharing the news, it came out that the strikes were illegitimate and were possibly sent out by a disgruntled viewer. With the strikes resolved and the channel restored, Phil saw it fit to celebrate his channel's resurrection.
Guess who's back, motherfuckers? That's right. That's right. They tried to take me down. They tried to get me off YouTube. They tried to shut me up. Fuck those motherfuckers. The king is back. That's right. As you can see, thank God, my channel, Darkside Phil, has been restored on YouTube. So, awesome.
This tactic would also become commonplace against Phil. As a response to the initial takedown, DSP made 2 additional channels, one for Street Fighter that was soon abandoned, and another for gaming going as DSP Gaming. This channel, for all intents and purposes, adopted the role of his main channel and will remain as such for the foreseeable future. At the time, as a host to gameplay videos, the channel's true purpose was to bring attention towards his vlogging channel, as that channel was monetized.
What am I going to do? I'm going to whip up a couple of express mode bacon, egg, and cheese sandwiches, which include 6 pieces of white bread.
This new series, beginning in September of 2010, was going under Poorly Cooking with the King. These videos were much more intimate than his gaming videos or even vlogs, for reasons not known then, but are now.
Back then,
I started Cooking with the King as a way to branch out and to have additional content on that channel. I think that that series ran its course to the point where I literally probably cooked every single meal I could possibly make without looking like an idiot or using a cookbook. And the point is, the series was me showing you things that I cook, not me cooking out of a cookbook.
Phil was increasingly monetizing different aspects of his life, and as he stated, poorly cooking with the king were the recipes he knew how to make, meaning this is what Phil made regularly.
So what am I going to make? Today I'm going to make scrambled eggs, and I'm also going to make some sausage. So I'm going to whip together some burgers, the eggs, and the cheese. That's pretty much 3 basic ingredients, but you can add other things to this dish. Although in this episode, we're actually going to go a little bit more healthy than some of my previous recipes, simply because a lot of people have been complaining, and I guess it's time to show that I don't only eat, things that might be high in fat or high in cholesterol. For every 6 ounces of tuna, you should use a half a cup of mayonnaise and or Miracle Whip.
Those were the following 4 poorly cooking with the king videos. Besides Phil's poor diet that would impact his life in somewhat ironic ways, viewers were exposed to cooking mishaps that were perplexing.
Safest thing to do with bacon grease. Oh yeah! Hot fucking potatoes.
Screwiness viewers could look at the clock in the stove frame, the layout of his house, etc. As for the rest of his videos, they were performing well, even if he did have a few hiccups or angry neighbors telling him to shut up along the way. If this was the only trouble DSP received, the rest of 2010 would have gone more smoothly. The key change that destabilized his world was him getting fired from his job.
And what happened in this case, they did a reorg where they took me out of this department where I was doing all this great work, and they put me in a completely different department. The management there didn't give a fuck about me, and after 3 months they laid me off.
Now, with more incentive to monetize his life, Phil launched a new series known as DSP Tries It.
Because fast food, I'm going to be telling you right now, when I do these for fast food, they're always going to have a low rating, because fast food usually is pretty bad. It's an odd combination of flavors, because the egg and all the meat are extremely salty.
This series was initially food-based. Then he began reviewing his own merchandise.
There's a bunch of different designs that you can get.
Then joysticks.
This joystick uses all Sanwa parts.
This series had now evolved within the first 21 episodes to a general product review show.
DSP tries it. This is DSP, and I'm using the new Axe Body... That's not it. What the hell's that shit? I'm using the new Axe Body Detailer. I use the detail inside to wash off. Oh, my God. Oh.
For a period, DSP discontinued this series and later stopped posting on the King of Hate HD altogether. DSP's fans were aware that he lost his job, and so a fan contacted Phil and offered to make him his own website, as was customary for various creators that found themselves unsecure in YouTube survivability. And so, by October, thekingofhate.com was up and running. Mainly used as a fan site, this website was fully equipped with forums and not a host of actual videos. Fan input and support was at an all-time high. That's why in November, he made an exorbitant amount of money.
That first month, I made $18,000.
In the first half of December, Phil made another $13,000, though it is unclear if YouTube actually paid it out. Regardless, if what Phil says is true about him making around $200 on average in the prior months, then he was now making 100 times more. This was unsustainable.
Mid-December, I get a message from YouTube. Dear Mr. Brunel, we have detected invalid clicking activity on your videos. Therefore, as a result of said activity, we are suspending. We're not turning off. We're not completely removing. We are suspending your AdSense account.
Phil claims that this increase in click activity was due to viewers feeling bad for him, not considering that the average person does not know how YouTubers make their money. This was mysterious by intention, done to avoid users clicking on ads for the sake of helping out their favorite creator. And if viewer support via DSP's instruction could staunch his income, what could viewer hostility do?
This. I said, YouTube, with their AdSense program, literally tell everyone, don't talk to your fans about it. Don't tell them how AdSense works, because then you would incentivize them to do stuff and commit fraud. Basically, how much you guys participate with this channel, if you know what I mean. I'm not allowed to come out and just say, how you can do that, but anyone who's accustomed to YouTube and how the partner channels work, I'm sure you understand what I'm saying. That's where the fun comes from, so I just want to say thanks a lot to everyone. I hope to entertain you in the future. Please go to my partner channel, The King of Hate HD, and click on the ads that show up on the videos.
DSP Cult Leader was a channel that represented a growing disdain for DSP. This channel was falling under the umbrella of detractor content, or those that at this moment believed DSP was not exactly truthful or transparent with his intentions. In late December of 2010, this channel was releasing various videos showing contradictions in DSP's words, like the reason he was suspended from the AdSense program, or just items that the uploader personally disagreed with. Additionally, though Phil positioned himself as tight with money, he was still able to purchase a few high-end collectibles here and there. The amount of statues and figurines were noticeably increasing. Perhaps it was because he felt secure, not in YouTube, but in Blip.tv. This was a website that was trying to compete with YouTube and was on the lookout for talent. DSP, a very large channel, was welcomed with open arms, and soon after joining was the second largest channel on Blip.tv, and was on an exclusive, superior contract. Here he uploaded gameplay and vlogging videos alike, while still uploading videos to YouTube as a fallback. That's how DSP entered 2011. His attention split between two competing websites. In January, a